Welcome back to Men Forged by Doctrine. I'm Eric. Thank you for being here. I think definitions are important, defining the words we use, especially when it comes to being men. How can we be something intentionally if we don't know what the definition of that thing is? We need to define our terms. So what's the definition of a man? Being a man is actually relatively easy to understand, yet hard to live out. But we can't only understand it, we need to understand it and do it. Live it out. Take it from 2 Samuel chapter 10, verses 11 through 12. And he said, "If the Syrians be too strong for me, then you shall help me. But if the children of Ammon be too strong for you, then I will come and help you. Be of good courage, and let us play the men for our people, and for the cities of our God, and the Lord do that which seems him good." So what is the definition of a man? Let's define it and then look at an example from the Bible. A man does the causes regardless of the effects. In other words, he does what is right regardless of the outcome. A boy, on the other hand, is focused on the effects regardless of the causes. In other words, a boy is much more concerned with getting the results that he wants, regardless of what the right thing is. Let's look at an example from the Bible. In Daniel chapter 3, King Nebuchadnezzar sets up a golden statue and passes a law. It says in verse 4, "To you it is commanded, O peoples, nations, and languages, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. And who does not fall down and worship shall in the same hour be cast in the midst of a burning, fiery furnace." Around that time, people in the king's court brought accusation against three guys. Their names are Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They said to the king, "There are Jews that you have appointed that they don't serve your gods or bow down to your golden statue." King Nebuchadnezzar brings Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in for questioning and asks them, "Are you not bowing down to this golden statue on purpose?" And he reiterates to them what they're supposed to do and the consequence if they don't. In verse 16, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If it be so, our God, who we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. But if not, be it known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods, or worship the golden image which you have set up." Then the king orders that they are put in the fiery furnace. God protects them, and not a single hair is burnt or a single piece of their clothing singed. They are untouched. Let's look at another example. The example of someone being about the causes regardless of the effects. Jesus, the Son of God, the night before his crucifixion. In Matthew chapter 26, verse 36, it says, "Then comes Jesus with them unto a place called Gethsemane, and says to his disciples, Sit here while I go yonder and pray. And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, My soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Stay here and watch with me. And he went forward a little, and fell on his face, and praying, saying, My Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass away from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will. Then, within the next day, Jesus is in fact crucified, buried, and is resurrected 3 days later. Let's take a closer look to how these guys responded to their situation, these men, starting with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They are being commanded to worship a false god or they will die. Their response? We don't answer to you, king. We answer to the one true God. He is able to protect us from the furnace. And then the key response that we see in verse 18 is when they say, and even if he doesn't save us from the furnace, just so you know, we don't serve your gods or worship your golden statue. If we go back to Jesus, we see the same key response. Jesus says, my Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass away from me. Essentially, he's saying, I don't want to suffer the coming torture. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will. So what is the difference between being a boy and being a man? A man does the causes regardless of the effect. He does what is right regardless of the outcome. Like we said earlier, relatively easy to understand, but really hard to do. A boy is focused on the effects regardless of the cause. A boy is much more concerned with getting the results that he wants, regardless of what the right thing is. In the case of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they knew it would be wrong to bow down to false gods. The cause they focused on was following the one true God, regardless of how other people responded. In their situation, the effect or the result of their choice was being put into a scorching, fiery furnace. They gave up control, they did the right thing, and then God saved them in the midst of that fiery furnace. We can see the same decision that Jesus, the Son of God, made. He prayed to the Father, if there is another way, let this cup pass from me. He was about to face extreme torture and death. No one wants to suffer. Jesus didn't desire to suffer, but he still chose. Nevertheless, let God's will be done. He gave up control and is the greatest example to us of following God. These examples are of males not being boys. They are examples of males being men. There is a difference. Again, a man is focused on doing the causes regardless of the effects. And look it, guys, including myself, this is our biggest burden. There are things that we want. Maybe it's a job promotion. Maybe it's a girlfriend or a wife. Maybe it's having respect from your peers. Maybe it's taking a vacation, what have you. The list goes on. The effects are endless and numerous. There is a right way to go about getting the effect that we want, and there is a wrong way to go about it. This is our biggest burden as guys. Doing the right thing and giving up control over how the result comes about. Whether it comes about, if at all. This applies to me too. This is something I need to continue to practice every single day. What opportunities do you have ahead of you this week to practice being about the causes, the right things, regardless of the outcomes? It's easy to chase effects, the things that we want. It's harder to do what is right, regardless of the result. That's the difference between a boy and a man. And that's the path that we're on, becoming men forged by doctrine. If you want to join on that journey in being a man forged by doctrine, subscribe. If this video was of value to you, please give it a like. Check out the description for more resources if you need them, and I will see you in the next one.